In this video, I'm taking a wee look round about the harbour and some of the amazing parking they've got for boats and things, and I'm also tackling that outboard a bit, as well as a few other bits and pieces before I leave here and head round the bill. I've got to the stage that, you know, when you worry about something and it gets built up and you've just got to go and do it to get it over and done with. I'm kind of there with the building now. Some people are saying, it's easy, it's not a problem. Some people are saying, oh my god, I was traumatised coming round it, and it's definitely something not to be taken lightly. It's one of the biggest hazards in the south coast by all accounts. But Friday the wind should be around 10-11 knots, gusting up to about 18, and high tide at the bill is 10 o'clock. And from what I understand, I've had a couple of different accounts, the best time is to go somewhere between high tide +3 and high tide +4, which would be slack water. So I'm going to go from here round the bill and I'm going to anchor up in Lyme Regis. I think Lyme Regis is a good shallow place. Anyway, it's a good shallow place, and you know, I can actually dry the boat out and, you know, just put it on the anchor and then carry on the next again day, probably as far as Brixham or maybe slightly further. I'm chomping at the bit to try and get moving now because the weather is really affecting the length of time that I've got left. So time is starting to come into play a bit, and it's going to start cutting down on the things that I can actually do. I think I've got a weather window until next Tuesday, and then we're going to get 40-50 mile an hour winds again. So I just try and get things fitted in between the weather windows, and see how much time I've got for actually doing things I wanted. But as I said in the last video, I wanted to spend a few days in the Isle of Wight. I've never been there before and it looks beautiful. But one of the things I'm learning with sailing is, you know, your day and your schedule is really dictated by the wind and the tide, or the weather and the tide. But, you know, I was talking to Sally last night, and this is something I've had a problem with my entire adult life, certainly since I came out of the forces, is this slowing down thing. You know, I've been full throttle since I was 16 and never really stopped. And now Mother Nature is she's making me stop. And this is a really alien concept to me. It's caused me frustration and it's caused me upset, and I went through periods of understanding it in the last week, because I've literally sat in the one place for an entire week now, waiting on the wind. And to me that's bizarre. But I think this slowing down thing sometimes is something that I need in my life, so who knows, it might be a good thing for me, you know. But we've got a weather window until Tuesday, so I'll see how much I can get done, and I'll take you along for the ride. Well, thankfully the wind's down a bit today. Hopefully it continues to get a bit more reasonable. I'm just going to the shops now, but I thought I'd just show you this. I love this multi-storey boat park. Anytime the owners want their boat, they just get a huge forklift to lift them in, and then when they're finished they lift them back out again. It's actually really cool. This here is a standard sized kind of rough terrain forklift, you know, just your normal one. And then behind it, this is the forklift that lifts the boats in and out. It's monstrous. It's absolutely huge. I mean, look at the forks in that thing. as I said, this is really cool. I mean, I know I've said that about a lot of things, but a lot of this is new to me, so I'm loving it. And I mean, the length of these forks, let me see what length they are roughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So about 5 metres long. And God knows how high. Nearly as high as my mast, and it's not even extended. That's some piece of kit. Anyway, as I said, I'm heading to the shops just now to get one of those 12 volt coolers, just so I've got a wee fridge on board, and I've got the laundry going just now, so there's 45 minutes left on that, so I better move myself. Now, let's see if I can get this thing back on. It's going to be really fiddly, because I don't want to have to take all these, I don't want to have to take all this out, because that will affect the throttle cable as well. So I'm going to do it the lazy way, but it is a lot more fiddly because you've got to get your fingers in a tiny wee space. So aye, we'll give it a go and see how it goes. Aye, as I said, it's quite a tight space to get in there and then get this on it, and then I've actually got to screw it on quite a lot. So aye, we'll see how it goes. There you go, you can see that groove in the actual pin, and this is where that clip's supposed to seat itself into, but because that block was too far across, too broad, it wasn't seating in there properly and it was just slipping off the end. So hopefully now that I've got it thinned down a good bit, it should seat in there well and I won't have the same problems. Aye, you can see it better now, that's it focusing properly. Aye, it is quite fiddly and it's an annoyance, but aye, you seen what happened when I didn't get it right the last time, so let's get it right this time. The good thing is I've got all my tools with me. The bad thing is there's not a lot of space, so all my tools are absolutely buried, and aye, I've got to go digging through everything every time I want to get anything, so it can be quite fiddly and annoying. So aye. Now the next trick is not to lose this plastic bit overboard, because that would be very bad. There we go. Now, it's going to be much easier doing it this way, but as I said, I had to go digging through all my tools there, so I had to do it the long way. In fairness though, it would have took a lot longer if I was doing it the other way, just trying to screw this on with the tips of 2 fingers. Aye, that's clipped in straight away this time without any problems. I'm actually going to go, I've got a length of thin wire and I'm going to wire that in. I had a look earlier on and I don't have a circlip small enough for it, so I'm just going to wire it and make sure it doesn't come out, because I don't want that happening again. That could have been dangerous. Now, I've got the spinnaker out here today. As I said in the last video, I had to end up dunking her and she went under the hull, so she's quite wet, and it was quite tangled up. It was this rope here. It had actually wrapped round about 3 or 4 times, but I managed to get it over the top of the bucket here and get it untangled. So what I'm going to do, there should be a clip in here. I'm going to clip this to one of the cleats, or tie it to one of the cleats, and then I should be able to open it out slightly and let it dry, and then I'll get the snuffer down and close it up and then fold it properly so that I can use it again when I go out. I've got it tied off to the cleats here so that it doesn't take off. Although I've got a spare one, I still wouldn't like to lose this one because it actually worked quite well. I mean, just on this alone I was doing 4.5 knots and the wind was only about 6-7 knots, so it done quite well until I realised that I couldn't get it back down. So I'll get it opened out, I'll get it dried off, and then I'll get it put away properly, and that will be it ready to use again. Now, that's me got the sleeve on it, and it'll let me get it folded up properly, and then I can put it away, and when I need it, it should work properly this time instead of getting jammed at the top. I just had it tied at both ends, just to make sure it didn't go anywhere, and it gave it a chance to dry out as well, so happy at that. That's another wee job done, another one ticked off the list, and onwards and upwards. Here I'm actually starting to tackle the steering issue, where I was wanting to make it steer in line with the rudders. There are a few bits and pieces to take off first, and then just make it steer with the rudders, which should give me a lot more manoeuvrability in and out of harbours and things like that, and against the wind as well. Now, it's not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it does work, so aye, I'll give that a go. It should certainly give me a lot more steering. Aye, I mean, I'm going to find a permanent solution for it, but this will do for now, I think. Right, the next thing I'm going to do, just to make sure it's no the carburetor that's causing problems, is I'm going to take it off and I'm going to give it a clean. Now, to do that, I'm going to have to take this off, I'm going to have to take this off, and then that's a size 10 bolt that goes all the way right through here, and then there's one in the back there. So I'll need a size 10 and a long extension bar to take that off. There should also be a fuel filter round here somewhere, and it's buried in there somewhere. Oh aye, I can see it at the front there. There's a fuel filter just in there. Aye, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a fuel filter in there, so I'm going to take that off and replace that just in case it's blocked. At the very worst, I'll be in the same position as I'm in, but I'm hoping that when I take it off and I clean the jets and things, it's going to make it run a lot happier anyway. It's a 4-stroke, so it's no running hot because of the fuel mix. So this carburetor and fuel filter is the next logical step in my head, so that's where I'm going to go with it just now. Now, I've got the carburetor off here. This is the side that goes forward, and this is the side that's back with the choke. So whenever you pull the choke on, this is what happens. It limits the amount of air that goes through the carb. And this engine seems to run better with the choke on, which is telling me that it is struggling for fuel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 off into this float bowl here, and inside there should be 2 brass screws, and under them should be the jets. I'm going to take the jets out one at a time and I'm going to clean them. And I have, luckily I planned ahead and I brought this with me as a spare, or as a maintenance part. Now that you should be able to go down where the jet is and just clean it out, make sure it's not blocked with anything. Really handy piece of kit to use or to keep if you've got carburetors and you're relying on that carburetor for your safety. So aye, you get I can't remember the name of them, but you get kits and they've got different sizes. So aye, luckily I remembered to bring one. Anyway, I'm going to get, as I said, I'm going to get these screws off and we'll have a look inside and see what's happening there. I did actually, what side was it? No, was it? I think it was this side. I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually dirt in there. So aye, we'll be giving the full thing a good clean out. I've got some carburetor cleaner there. Luckily I brought 3 or 4 cans of that. Aye, and we'll give this thing a good clean out. Now that's we got the screws out. I'll just take this off. Okay. It's not looking too bad in there, but I can see a bit of, it's almost as if seawater's got in there at some point. You see that white? That's really not good. White granular build up. Hopefully this is the problem, because that certainly shouldn't be sitting like that. Anyway, these two here are the ones that I'm wanting to look at. Now, I'm not an expert in this, I have a vague knowledge, and from what I understand, this carburetor does 3 different sizes of outboard, and on the small ones like the 9.9 there's only one of these or something like that. Anyway, this here is the float, and that sits up like that, and as the bowl gets filled, that will float up and it'll cut off the amount that comes in. Anyway, I'm going to get this, I'm going to take this one off first, and I'm going to get it out and I'm going to give it a good clean and see what I can find out. Now I'm just thinking back here, I've got this off, let's see if I can get it to focus, and each one of the wee holes I'm going to clean out. I've had a go at the top two there, and the second one down in this orientation was actually blocked solid, and it looked like this that was in it. Now I'm thinking back, and the person that I bought this outboard off of said she had it on a boat and her boat sunk, but she assured me that the outboard hadn't been in the water. I'm beginning to doubt that now, actually, because this residue is all over the place. I'm going to have to strip this thing right down and give it a good clean out. I only wish that I had actually bought a carb rebuild kit before I done this. I'm going to order a carb rebuild kit anyway, or maybe even a new carburetor, just in case. Aye, right, I'm going to crack on with this and I'll come back in once I've got it done. I wasn't actually going to bring these wee brushes. I didn't think I would have any need for them. I'm glad I did now. It's just brass wire on it, so it's no harsh enough that it's going to score the inside of this or cause any problems. And obviously, before I go any further, I'm going to gently take this gasket out, very gently, because as I said, I don't have a rebuild kit. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to make sure I don't damage it, and I'm going to give this thing a good clean. I mean, as it's drying, that residue's getting more and more. I'm not 100% sure what it is. It looks kind of like salt build-up though, salt residue, which, I mean, regardless of what it is, it's granular and calcified. I don't know if you've ever boiled salt water until it goes dry and you get this white powder like this. It's like that, but it's certainly enough to block up the jets of a carb. So I'm going to get this brush in it and I'm going to get it all cleaned out, and I'll get the carburetor cleaner in it. I've still got this one to bring out and make sure the channel at the back of that's clear. But aye, this screw here slackens off and it'll let this float come out, and it'll just let me in at things better. Aye, I'll give this a good clean out and then I'll come back in and we'll see if there's any difference. Now, I've took this screw out here, as I said, that keeps the float in. And if you can see here, there's a wee groove on the inside of there, which holds on to this. And as the float raises and lowers, it raises and lowers this in the hole, and that's machined to fit perfectly at the bottom of this hole, and that regulates the fuel. I'll give that a clean out just in case it's not getting enough fuel through that side. Aye, it's actually quite ingenious. As I said, I'm no expert in this by any stretch. I know enough to clean a carburetor out and that's about it. There's a lot of good tutorials online for this kind of thing, strangely enough, on YouTube. Aye, but I'm going to give this a clean out. I'm going to go into everything that I can just to try and tick off any problems that it could be. Failing that, as I said, I've looked online and a new carburetor for it's about 70 quid. So aye, we'll try this one first, try and save myself 70 quid. If not, I'll get online and I'll get one ordered and hopefully get it delivered to one of the marinas that I'm going to. and then I can just pick it up when I go in. I don't know if you can see that in my hand, but I just took that jet out and turned the carburetor upside down, and this is what fell out. So, I mean, it's really bad that it's in that state, but it's given me hope that this is the issue. It's that white granular stuff again. So I'll just keep on cleaning and we'll see how we go. Now, that's all that white stuff away, and it's all cleaned out really well. After a bit of research online, the white stuff, I mean, that's just some of it that I managed to get out. It's actually quite a lot. But from what I understand, it's aluminium oxide, and it's the aluminium reacting with the water, and you get that in poorly maintained carburetors. Now I know that this carburetor was lying on its side for a long while, and just with the way that was lying, I'm wondering, was that, after it was submerged, was it lying on its side like that for a while? And that's why that aluminium oxide's formed in that particular area. But anyway, as I said, it's had a good clean out, and I've got all this all cleaned out. There was actual lumps of the white stuff fell out as I was unscrewing that smaller one. So I'm hopeful that this has been the problem and I've managed to rectify it. I'll see how it runs, but as I said, a new carburetor's 70 quid, and for the safety and peace of mind that brings, then it might well be worth it. Anyway, I'm going to start putting this back together now that all the white powder's out. Strangely enough, white powder usually makes things go faster, but anyway, I probably shouldn't say that on YouTube. That's it all cleaned out. I'm going to put it back together and we'll come back in then. Well, it's been ticking over for a wee while now, but I'm still not convinced with it. I'll keep an eye on it and see how she goes, but I've checked the spark plug, it's no filled, new fuel filter in it, cleaned the carburetor, but she still seems to be getting too much air. I'm thinking maybe there's a crack somewhere. I'm still not sure about that carburetor, and I'm not confident in the outboard, but the plan is to sail as much as humanly possible and only use the outboard when necessary. So tomorrow now I'll be sailing out of here. It takes about an hour to get from here to Portland Bill, so I need to be there between 1 and 2. So if I leave here about midday, I'll take my time and hopefully, you know, all goes well. The wind's no too high, so as I said, you know, I've got a weather window until about Tuesday, and I'm going to crack on and see how far I manage to get. By the time you see this video, I'll already have been round, so hopefully all goes well. Wish me luck, I might need it. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you wouldn't mind, like, share and subscribe. It really helps, and the channel's really growing much faster than I thought, which is really heartening. I must be doing something right. So again, thank you very much for watching, and take care. I'll see you next time.